Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well. And today I have an update from my neck of the woods, the Adirondacks, which are in New York. Before we get into it, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get into this update from the Adirondacks. Shall we? So for the last couple of months, I have been really deep into the West Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky region of disappearing people and mutilated bodies. And just last night, I was in my studio and I received a phone call. Now, a lot of you may not know this because I have a lot of new subscribers. Where I live in New York, upstate New York, in the Adirondacks. I don't live in Western New York. A lot of people call Western New York like Syracuse, Buffalo, Rochester. That's not upstate. Upstate is from the city straight up to Canada. That's upstate. Where we hunt, we chew tobacco, we ride four-wheelers, and we are just rednecks. So, with that being said, I, November 15th, released a upload about the Tom Mezek case. I have family members who participated in the search, and those of you who listened to that upload knew that I interviewed a lot of people from that region. I talked to a lot of people from that region. I met a lot of people from that region. And I really made some decent connections. I actually was a little apprehensive, but I was pretty much greeted warmly. Now, the phone call I got was from a retired DEC forest ranger, Captain John. I'm not going to use his last name because he asked me not to. But he is out of the Warren, Essex County region. And I recognized his number right off and I said, "Hey, how are you, John?" We talked and he said, "Jeff, I don't know if you heard about it, but there was a missing hiker from Connecticut who was climbing the high peaks region, which we have 46 high peaks up here, Mount Marcy being the highest. Ironically enough, a subscriber had a Dogman encounter on Mount Marcy, and I have that in my files. So I said, "No, I didn't hear about it. I've been working on some other stuff. What happened?" And he said, well, he had been missing since, I'd say, last week, and we ended up locating him. When we found him, he was deceased. He had some broken bones and some what appeared to be chunks taken out of his body. And I said, "Chunks? Bite marks." I said, "Oh, okay." So we talked for a little bit longer, and I wanted to get the whole kind of detail of everything, like what it was like during the time he was missing up there. Because even though I'm in the Adirondacks, I'm in the foothills. So it may be nice here, but it may not be nice up there. And I just wanted to get the details. So I'm going to share with you the story that was aired in the paper and share with you the details that I received. It is very tragic because he was a family man, an older family man, but nonetheless a family man, just enjoying nature. And it sucks because, well, it's just another case. And unfortunately, just like all local, state, and federal, it'll get filed away in the who knows case category. So let's get into it. So for the period that he had been missing, the weather was pretty decent up there. 44 on a Sunday. On Monday, it was 36. 36 on a Tuesday. 39 on a Wednesday with some flurries. Thursday, 40. 44 on Friday. 41 on Saturday. And 29 presently. Now, like I said, it may be nice here, but it is not nice up there. Our weather was in the 60s this week. That's how dramatic the temperature change is. We didn't have snow. We have no snow outside. We had rain. So the media used that as kind of a ploy, I guess. This is the news article that was given, and then I will get into what Captain John told me. Now, I did just pull up the almanac for the Adirondacks. After I share the news report, I want to get into one conflicting thing that I found. A hiker who was missing for nearly 1 week was found dead Friday morning in the Adirondack High Peaks region, according to state officials. A release from the state confirmed the body of 61-year-old Thomas Howard of Westport, Connecticut, was found at about 10:30 in the morning. Officials did not announce where Howard was found, but said he initially planned to hike Mount Colden. The Howard family wishes to express their gratitude to community and the searchers for their support. A state spokesperson wrote in a release the family asks for privacy as they grieve the loss of a loved one. Howard's planned trip was partially logged through a trail registry at the Adirondack LOJ. Now, what the LOJ, the Adirondack LOJ, is it's a system of lean-tos and cabins. Old cabins, some built from like late 1800s all the way up to the 30s and 40s, lean-tos from like the 50s and 60s, that are maintained. They're maintained by DEC. I've camped in them. They are great, actually. I mean, after a day hiking, we've hiked in Boy Scouts in the Explorers Club. You know, we'd hike the high peaks and hit a lean-to, and it was just, heaven, or a small little cabin. And it was, just kind of sit and get out of the elements. Because even in the summer, it's definitely a different atmosphere up there. It's a little cooler. It's a hike. It's rough terrain, but not too rough. I mean, I hiked it when I was 11 years old, 11 all the way up till I was 16. So that's what the LOJ is. It's just a bunch of these cabins where there's a registry, you sign in, and you proceed to hike. His last known location was the Marcy Dam Lean-To, roughly 4 miles from the trailhead. Search and rescue crews were not able to publicly confirm Howard's planned route when he departed Friday night. One trail to Mount Colden summit includes scrambling up the Trap Dyke, a challenging rock slide section leading to the 4,700-foot peak. Howard's departure also lined up with a late winter snowstorm that delivered just under 15 inches of snow to nearby Lake Placid, according to spotter reports by the National Weather Service. The high peaks likely received more accumulation. So, that Friday was the 12th. There was zero point 0.19 inches of accumulation that day. There was no accumulation that whole week. It was not a very bad week for hiking, to be honest with you. The weather was decent for that atmosphere. It was, if you ask me, just perfect hiking weather. So we've got decent hiking weather, but this is where things get strange. Is where they found him. They did not find him, and I find it funny that they mentioned the Trap Dyke spot in the hiking area, because that's not where he was found. Even though publicly they're not announcing where they found him in an area where it's not really hard to get to. The amount of damage that was done to his body was, I mean, if he had fallen off of like Mount Marcy, which is our biggest high peaks. I think Marcy is like, the elevation, total elevation is like 5,400 feet, somewhere around there. It's high up, but I mean, it's not record breaking. They said that, well, Captain John told me that the damage that was done to his body looked like he had fallen off of like a cliff. There's no cliff located nearby, and he said there was these huge chunks. There was broken bones and large bite marks were found on him. That is another reason why they're not publicly saying any of this in the papers. Up here, if a hiker dies, they usually tell you, how bad the damage was done. They said that he looked like he had been folded in half, and there was like marks on his arms, legs, stomach region, in the soft area of his stomach. But he said it looked like whatever had taken these bites was trying to maim him first. Where they found him was like 6.4 kilometers from the trailhead, which it's you think 4,700 feet is high, but how these trails are, they're not very noticeably high. Like when you're hiking them, there are some locations that it's very steep and very treacherous, but the trail that he was on was not. He parked near the Adirondack Mountain Club's parking area up in New Alba, and this makes absolutely no sense to where or why he would be, why a hiker would die in that location. So what that leads me to believe is there was something large that attacked him. We're talking a half an hour, roughly 40 minutes from where Thomas Mezek disappeared. And a lot of people up in these regions talk about Sasquatches. There's been a lot of old timers that have talked about Sasquatches up in the Adirondacks. It's not something that's unheard of. Dogman, on the other hand, I believe are running wild up there. I know that in the 90s, our DEC did a wolf release program and released a lot of wolves because our whitetail population was getting out of hand. Shortly thereafter, there was no wolves to be found. There was some bodies of wolves that were found, mauled, but the population of wolves in the Adirondacks is next to nil now, which is very strange, which only leads to one thing. There is a bigger and meaner apex predator in the area. So I am going to make some calls later today. I got a couple people that I can talk to through when I met, or who I met while I was doing the research on the Tom Mezek case. But yeah, I thought it was really cool that the retired forest ranger contacted me. He still is, even though he's retired, he still has a lot of friends and he is in the know. He just recently retired because he was active. He was active when I did the Tom Mezek case, which was back in November. I started it in late October. I met with him around that time. So he must have just kind of retired because he said, hey, I retired just recently, yada, yada, yada. Because I had asked him if he would like to go and do possibly a better and more in-detailed search of the area where Tom Mezek disappeared. But anyway, I got a couple more calls I want to make, but I wanted to share with you guys this. This is stuff that, I mean, we have a lot of missing people up here, and there's been a lot of strangeness in the Adirondacks. But yeah, it's not just happening in Virginia. I mean, I bet you if I took a day and just picked a random state, I could find a couple of very strange missing person attacks, bodies coming up. And so I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I think it's very strange. I thought 2021 was going to be very bad because of after the COVID, people could start going out and participating in stuff. But now it's almost like there hasn't been a slowdown. So, all right. With that, I want to thank you guys. Please keep this family in your prayers, and let's practice kindness. May the Great Spirit watch over us, and may He guide us down that path that we call life. Till later tonight, my friends.